Hi, WhiskyJason here. Whiskey from the viewpoint of American in Germany. Smile. Today I have Van Winkle 12-year-old Lot B, and I'm going to add new label. I have here a bottle from the Frankfurt bottling, but I also have here a label from the Lawrenceburg bottling, the old label. And to be very, very true, I even have a even older labeling from the private stock Lawrenceburg bottling from the 80s. So, today we're only going to try the new label. Sorry, people. As I said yesterday with the old Rip Van Winkle 10-year-old, Julian Poppy Van Winkle was a salesman at the W.L. Wellers and Sons. They were actually just a bottler, but not a producer of whiskeys. They were wholesalers. And he worked his way up to president, and he bought, together with his buddy Alex Farmsley, the Stilzler. I can't even say it today, and Weller Distillery. And they had a license to produce whiskey during the Prohibition, and as soon as that was over, they started their own distillery in 1935 in Chivoli, Kentucky. A little story. Now, during the Prohibition, you were allowed to sell whiskey with a license for medicinal purposes, but you were not allowed to distill. And so what happened was, towards the end, there was really a shortage of whiskey. And so even after they built this factory, Stilzel Weller Distillery, in record time, they didn't have any stock. And so what they did is they created a new brand called the Carolina Club. And as soon as it was 3 months old, they sold it. Because there was such a demand that they had to sell something. And then they sold a 6-month-old version. And then they sold a 9-year-old, 9-month-old version. And a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old. And as soon as they had enough stock in their warehouses to sell minimum 2 years old, they got rid of this brand. No longer was there ever the brand Carolina Clubs. The same thing, but just different, was with the brand Old Rip Van Winkle. They used it before Prohibition, but after Prohibition they didn't. And so when Julian Van Winkle Jr. had to sell the Stilzler Weller Distillery in 1972, he took that brand with him. All the other brands stayed with the company, and they basically turned into something called, a long time later, Buffalo Trace. So, Julian Van Winkle Jr. took stock with him from the Stilzler Weller Distillery. And he used some of it, of course, for decanters, for the universities, for the colleges. But he kept a lot of it also for his son, Julian III, that should also be able to bottle that. So when Julian III was 32 years old, his dad died. And all this stock was in a distillery in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, in the old Hoffman Distillery. And when that went bankrupt 1983, he was forced to buy it. So that he had a warehouse and also a bottling facility. So all his barrels were there, his bottling facility was there, and it was a tough time keeping the business open. Now, for some reason, Julian decided to call his son Preston and not Julian IV. And Preston got into the business in 2001. Now, as I said, I have a bottle here of Old Rip Van Winkle. I have a sample here of a bottle of Old Rip Van Winkle, 12 years old. It doesn't even say Lot B, by the way. This is from the 80s. I have here the Van Winkle Lot B that was actually still bottled in the Lawrenceburg in the old Hoffman Distillery. Now, Preston tells the story of actually 2002. They have an agreement, they had a contract now with Buffalo Trace to produce new whiskey because the stuff from 1972 was running out. What they did was they left it in the barrels for a certain amount of years, 12, 15, 20, and then 23, and they put it in stainless steel tanks so that it would not continue to age. The master distiller of Wild Turkey, who was often there to help in Lawrenceburg, Julian III, when something broke down, said, I would never, ever let a bourbon mature for more than 12 years. It gets so woody and it just doesn't really work out like it should. Now imagine something actually stored for 30 years or 40 years. 1972 is a long time ago. It's now no longer in the wooden barrels, but they've been moved, everything. If you can even get anything, that's the question. It has all been moved now to this, it was moved to the steel tanks, and since then it's actually been more or less used up. 2012, there was the promise from Preston that all the 20 and 23-year-old Pappy is Stiltzler Weller distilled whiskey. And then 2013, he said, it's a mix. It's Buffalo Trace and also the Stiltzler Weller. And after 2013, basically, it went all to just Buffalo Trace products. That's what they say. So a lot of this is conspiracy, a lot of this is gossip, a lot of this is rumors, a lot of this is speculation. So, but Preston did promise in 2012, in that year, everything before that from Pappy Van Winkle, from Pappy 20 and 23 was still from that 1972 closed distillery. So what I have here, I haven't even put anything in my glass yet, is definitely something here from Buffalo Trace. This is a 12-year-old, new label, bottled actually in Frankfurt at the Buffalo Trace Distillery. It's using the Pappy recipe. It's been bottled and it's been for 12 years in a cask. Then it's filled up, and I have the whiskey base number. Over here in Europe, we use something called www.whiskybase.com, and it's a database for all the different whiskeys and bourbons and of the world. It's a very, very fine database. And this has the number 31198. And you can see what other people have written for tasting notes and a little bit of information, pictures of the bottle, and so on. So, what does my nose say? 45.2%. The recommended price is $69. The secondary mark average price is $690. Tenfold price increase. I just can't even believe that. Hype, hype, hype. It's nice, but it's not wow. I'm going to do a poor man Pappy's comparison. I have two different recipes for poor man Pappy. One with stag, one without, just with W.O. Weller. But I'm going to do something that I've never done before. I'm going to get a glass, and I'm going to take my Buffalo Trace product, Eagle Rare, and I'm going to do a taste test. So this is actually blasphemy for all those Van Winkle Pappy fans out there. How could WhiskyJason even dare to say that the Eagle Rare is anywhere near the league of Van Winkle? So, I don't know. I just have the feeling that it's actually going to be a competition. Look at the color. 10-year-old, 12-year-old. Eagle Rare's better. On the nose. People are going to really hate me for this one. I'm sorry. I do have a little bit of the so-called acetone on my nose. Over here in Germany, we call it the glue vapors. But I do have a lot of that orange peel. Oh, I love the Eagle Rare. It's such a great blend. It's dark, it's rich, it has a zangy. It's zangy. Can I say zangy? It's an orange peel zestiness. Oh, that was good. A lot of even leathers in there. And I come back here to the Van Winkle 12-year-old Lot B. Lot B means, by the way, second quality. It's not good enough to be in the barrels up until the 15-year-old. Oh, it's close. It's close. It's closer than I expected, actually. I almost would like to do this blind. In German, I would say gesagt, getan, which translate in I said it, I did it. Ta-da! My blind tasting glasses. So, on the bottom of these glasses is a number. I wrote the number down on my number. I took 4 other glasses and started switching around for empty glasses. I have no idea which one's which. I can't see. I can't see how much is in there. That's the good thing about these blue nosing glasses. I can only smell and I can only taste. One is Eagle Rare. One is Van Winkle Lot B 12-year-old. 10-year-old, 12-year-old. Remember, I used to be able to see the color and say, oh, look, the Eagle Rare is darker. Can't do that anymore. So, what do we have here? My first impression would be this is the Eagle Rare. And now this is my first impression of the Eagle Rare. Oh, I can't tell them apart. This is cool. I do a lot, and I don't do a lot. I've tended to do more blind tastings on the screen in the last couple of months. And sometimes it's so frustrating, and sometimes it's so liberating. It's one of those love-hate type of relationships. So, there's more alcohol and less orange peel. That's my signal for Eagle Rare. And that's a little bit more bland on the nose. So one of the problems I have with these nosing glasses compared to my Glencairn is that for some reason they tend to actually facilitate the nosing process. They funnel the smell in a more concentrated manner towards my nose, and these just kind of close up a little bit. So yeah, I'm still gonna go this with Eagle Rare. Even though this is nice, it still doesn't have the same, I used the word zestiness a moment ago. So let's just try the two of them and compare the two of them on the palate. Over here in Germany, this is about 45, let's say $45. That was nice. This, if you can get it, 69, and secondary market 600. Would this be an adequate replacement product? I really like that. That's good. I'm going to still say that's my Eagle Rare. I didn't taste this before, really. Over here, my suspected Van Winkle 12-year-old Lot B, new label. A little bit more hot. Definitely more heat. More alcohol. This is 45%. This is 45.2%. I cannot tell the difference between 0.2%. But this is much, 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 much hotter than this. I keep on getting the orange peel. All right, let's have the solution. At the bottom of my glass, I have the number, and I have the number 1. 1 was the Pappy. I like Pappy better than I do the Eagle Rare. The Eagle Rare is much, much hotter. Okay. I couldn't read my number. It was a 4, and this was the 1, and this is actually like Pappy. That's the reason why. Okay. Hey! Pappy is better than Eagle Rare. Get rid of the bottle here. So, what do we learn from this? We learned Pappy is actually fairly good. So Lot B is also fairly good. It's actually better than this. It's smooth. The alcohol is very, very well confined in it. And it's very, very, as a zesty, I think I use it. Zingy, zesty. There was the orange peels in here, which I really liked. Even on the nose, it's better. Alright, so, switching the glasses. Thank you very much for watching. I highly recommend Pappy if you can find it. I'm not going to give it, as I said, my A. I'm going to give it a B-. Sorry for those of my friends that just love Pappy. It should be maybe an A-, but the old Rip Van Winkle was even better, I thought. At the end, I might actually do a taste testing also with these wonderful blind blue nosing glasses, and I might be able to try all the different Van Winkle products and see what I like best. Thank you very much for watching, and have a very, very nice day. And if you have any comments, please write them down below. That would be of great interest to me. Bye. See you soon.